evening, everyone. My name is Chris Cooper, known as the Channel Guy Trader, and I am reporting to you live from Wall Street Trading Satellite Office down in sunny South Florida. Today's date is Tuesday, November the 6th, November the 6th, 2012, and here is today's After the Bell market summary. We want to first start off by taking a look to see how the indices closed here. The Dow Jones closed up 133.24 points. The Nasdaq closed up 12.27, and the S&P 500 closed up 11.13 points. If we take a look at the breadth on the market today, we had just about a 3-to-1, close to a 4-to-1 in favor of the bulls. We had 4,345 issues advancing. We had 1,810 issues declining on the NYSE, Nasdaq, and the Amex. And right now, we had a nice little update today. Obviously, tonight we had the elections, so it's going to be a very big night to see what's going to happen. And most likely, obviously, the market's going to be gapping up or down tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, we're going to be able to see how the futures trade overnight, but we're going to be looking for a gap down or a gap up in the market tomorrow. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at the charts here and to see what took place. A lot of stocks were up today. Unfortunately, I was out voting, so I was not able to partake in any of this upside action as I was not in front of my screens. However, we did have the chat room open. The chat room was up and running. We did have some levels. I can show you guys quickly how we were set up in the chat room with some key levels here going into the open. Obviously, all these lines and zones are on the chart before the session starts, so you can see how we traded. We had this key trend line that was here from yesterday's lows that we made around 10:15. Connect that to the overnight lows that we made on the ES right here. It's a little high pivot, little base that we made right here at 14.10 on the ES around 3:15 in the morning. It touched that trend line again. So that's how you know this trend line was relevant. So therefore, we weren't looking to get short unless we were below that trend line, below that 14.14 area. You can see here on the 50-minute chart, once we kind of consolidated below this little resistance zone that we had right here. Let me zoom in for you guys here. Once we kind of consolidated below this little resistance zone right here, all right, you can see once we got above, that's when the market ripped right through our little resistance zone. We ripped up, hit our next resistance zone, ripped up, and look exactly where we stopped at, to the T, right there at the top of our resistance zone. Now, guys, these levels are on our charts before the session starts, so that just shows you how much hard work we put into making sure we have the right levels to get our traders that are in the chat room prepared. And if you've not been to the chat room yet, the chat room is mywallstreettv.com. Whether you trade futures, options, or stocks, we do it all. Depends on what setups we have out there. So you're more than welcome to come check out the room. You want to make sure you go to wallstreettrading.com, fill out the form on the right hand side for the 14-day free trial to My Wall Street TV. Now, in any case, let's go ahead and take a look at the market here. SPY daily chart. SPY was up $1.11, up 0.78%, closing at 142.96 here. You can see the major level that we got to get back over here on the SPY is back over 143.75. Call it 144. You can see here so far that little bottom channel down here is still holding as support, and the big picture right here is kind of falling back into this little downward long sloping bullish channel that you can see we can say is being respected because it was respected all last week and the week before that. Okay, so now levels to watch for tomorrow. I would say if we gap down towards this 140, 141 area, you want to watch that level. All right, that's the little bottom range, and you want to watch this little top range right here around 144. Okay, going into tomorrow, if you want to see a break and hold above or break down and hold below, you want to make sure you don't get caught in any little fake breakout or caught in any little fake breakdown. That's going to be very key. Let's take a look at the ES here now. The ES on my system, my channel system, you can see we remain back above that key trend line. A little back test of the little support down here. All right, from this little prior channel that we broke out of. All right, it did hold, all last week and the week before that. And now we're back above this other key trend line from this little other channel that we had, this bigger channel that we had right here. You guys can see that. All right, we're back with this bigger channel. So who knows? If we get a nice little breakout tomorrow, anybody that got short in this little area right here, they're going to be trapped, or they're going to be looking to cover their shorts if they're short down here. And this is going to be a nice little big bull trap, bear trap scenario that took place in this little range. And we can most likely get a move back up towards the top side of this original channel that we were in, where this little top side was acting as resistance. If you guys, if you guys don't understand that, pause the video, take a look at it, and see what we actually have going on here via this technical analysis, which has been playing out to the T. All right, now if you take a look at the Qs, triple Qs, The triple Qs are still holding that key support area. I'm going to put the moving averages back on the chart here. The triple Qs are still holding that key 65 level. All right, and we're still below that one, and we're still below this little key trend line from the little June lows, that little inflection low right here, this inflection low, and you see it broke down. We didn't get the little breakdown that most people are probably were expecting. We have this moving average right now holding the support, the 200-day exponential and simple moving average. And right now, if the Qs were to take out, if the Qs were to get back above, say 66.50 or so, and start holding above that level, that would be bullish for at least maybe a move back up towards 67.38. We still have to remain cautious, though, because we do have these little declining 50-day moving averages right here. But so far for the past, 9 sessions or so, we have been holding above the 65 level, and you have to pay attention to that. Now let's take a look at the IWM. The IWM on the daily chart, nice little downward bullish channel that could be in play right here. All right, same way this one down here broke out. This one actually took about, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one took about 5 weeks. This little downward channel has been in play for about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and going on its 8th week here. But if we can get a break above this trend line and hold, we can get a nice little move back up to the top side. If we, if we get a gap down or something like that, we sell off, then we'll be looking for a move to break below 81 towards the bottom of this channel, making it a making it a new low and a lower low. And we'll have to see. Volume's been pretty light. Obviously, elections tonight will kick up the volume across the board and everything, and we'll have to play it like so. So levels to watch on the IWM is the 81 level, and the top side level to watch is really, I would say, around 83.25 or so in this little downward trend, top of the channel right here, which is around 83. But I would say 83.25. Now, let's take a look at gold. Gold had a nice little rip up today, up $3. I was not able to catch this move. As you guys know, we have been waiting for a little Bible pullback in GLD. I was a little bit early, when I bought it 2 weeks ago, and I had to cancel it out for a loss and I for a small loss, and I did that via the option so I could manage my risk. At the same time, I did that before I had that big dump out right here in the chart. Before the whole little big gap down, I was actually able to get out of it for a small loss when it did this little move right here. But in any case, gold probably did a little shakeout. Now we have to see, what's going to happen with gold. And the reason why I say that is because, remember, this is our little downward channel breakout plan on a weekly time frame, guys. That's a nice little downward channel. This is a weekly chart, by the way, that broke out, pulled back for, see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, and now it's getting a bounce right here. All right, so if you were not able to buy if you were not able to get in GLD today, do not worry, because then if this is the original bounce, this thing's going to go right back up towards 170, 175 area, and then we'll probably be looking for a breakout over 175. So we'll see how that one sets up, but definitely want to keep an eye on the commodities going forward, especially after tonight with elections. Want to see what the U.S. dollar does. We take a look at the U.S. dollar. The dollar was a little bit down today. However, we still remain above this little consolidation resistance that we broke out of here, around 80.25. Really can't get bearish on the dollar until it gets back below 80.25. If the dollar continues to hold these levels, then it could continue to float up, maybe up towards 81.52. Keeping an eye on that as well. Let's not forget about silver. I know a lot of people out there are starting to trade silver again, or had been trading silver. Silver is back down near the support from the 200-day moving averages here, simple and exponential on the daily time frame, and so far it has been holding $30 for the past the level $30 for this ETF here since the past 2 sessions. Okay, let's take a look at copper, see what copper is doing. Take a look at copper via the copper futures. That's the best way I like to look at it here. And copper futures are still inside this bottom of this, are still below this little resistance zone right here. So it would really need to get back above 355 to get it a little bit interesting. And then if it does get back above 355, it's still going to have resistance around this area around 365 if it gets past 355. For the fact here, you can see that this was this little downward channel. All right, that most of all, when you have a little downward channel like this, it usually resolves to the top side. But when it doesn't, you get a nice little move to the downside. It's usually a fast move, and that's what took place. And now this support is going to act as resistance on this side on copper. So we'll see how that sets up. I was watching FCX to see how FCX sets up here. And if copper gets stronger, the dollar sells off, and all these commodities get back, a move to the top side. Look for FCX as a long if it gets back over 41 to make a move back up towards the top of this range right here. If you guys remember yesterday, I was explaining how FCX has a little head and shoulders pattern that could be on play on the weekly time frame. Of course, we're watching this key area right here to see what's, just kind of gauge that pattern that's on the weekly to see if it's going to play out or not. All right. What else do I want to take a look at here? Let's take a look at crude oil via the USO. All right. Crude oil via the USO is trying to get back above this 32.71 level. That 31.50 level has held. You see volume kicked up a little bit today. If the USO could get back above 33, that would be good. We still have to worry about these declining moving averages though, around 33.54 and 34.16 from those 50-day and the 50-day exponential moving average and the 50-day simple moving average. I mean, if we take a look at the crude oil futures, right, you can see the crude oil futures as well. Those ones, crude oil futures is back above $88 a barrel, and we could also draw this little key trend line in right here. And if you guys recall, remember, I'm expecting a big move in crude oil. Let me drag over the monthly and the weekly time frame. The monthly's in this little big triangle, guys, on the monthly time frame. And you can see I had that big monthly triangle drawn on the weekly chart as well. If I take off the studies, you can see a little bit cleaner here. But we're going to be looking for a big move in crude oil coming pretty soon, guys. You can see this thing's warming up. Maybe going into next year around sometime in the first quarter, we're going to be looking for crude to make a nice little a big move pretty soon here once it gets more towards the apex of this triangle. Which that we have time to plan for that. Still plenty of time. So that's about it, guys. I could go over a little couple of stocks here. Apple, did not participate in today's rally. That's something to take note of. In a nice little downtrend, is a little downward channel. A lot of people keep on talking about Apple, and there's other stuff to trade out there, guys. Follow the money. You got these guys talking about Apple all the time. Not that it's a bad thing, but when there's other things in play, why focus all your energy on just watching this Apple stock, which is not participating with the market? Go look for other things to trade. Amazon I like better than Apple. Why? Amazon's back above this little key level from this little range it had back here before it broke out around that 232 level. Amazon's going to give you a nice trade if it takes out this 238.82, call it 239 level with some nice momentum. All right. Goldman Sachs. Obviously, the banks are strong. A lot of people watching Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs continues to act well. Bank of America. A lot of people watching Bank of America for that 10 handle. If it could get a nice little rip over 10 with some volume, it could give you a nice little trade for a move back up towards 11. Which if it gets to 11, we'll have to watch that. Wells Fargo, WFC, still acting like the weakest one. Needs to really get above 35 to get any interest on my end. You can take a look at JP Morgan. JP Morgan up 61 cents today, up 1.5% just about. And JP Morgan over, say, 43.35, or better yet, to use a closer level here, JP Morgan over this 43.06 level. Should take it back up towards 43.60, and we'll have to see what it does from there. What other stocks was I talking about today? And that's really about it, guys. There's plenty of stocks to talk about. But obviously everything could change in the moment after tonight. So we'll have to wait and see what sets up for tonight, and we'll just take it like it is, and we'll watch. We'll get an idea of what stocks to trade going into tomorrow. So make sure you join us in the chat room tomorrow morning at 8:15 a.m. Have a great night, guys.